All right, everybody, we are back. We're back from our little Hawaii holiday. Don't mind me, I've been coding. We're back from our holiday. We basically took over Christmas off. There wasn't a lot happening with CIG, and yeah. But I'm joined here with John. Say hello, John.
Hello, John.
Hello, John. Um, and obviously, guys, we're going to break down the roadmap because there's a little bit of misinformation floating around regarding 3.23. So we're going to go through and we're going to tell you what we think is going to happen with 3.23 and exactly what you will most likely be getting. Now, obviously, do keep in mind, we don't work for CIG. These are guesses, with air quotes. We do have people that do talk to us that do work for CIG, but take this with a grain of salt. So, let's jump straight into it. And the first thing we'll do is we'll go through the notable changes for February 7th, 2024. Release view. So the big thing is the replication layer update. Testing continues on this important update to the persistent universe's backend and database. This release will remain fluid in regards to timing as the edge cases are solved. Performance is optimized with this publish. With this publish, whatever. We're moving this card to the Alpha 3.23 column, but keeping an eye on Spectrum and the tech preview channel for the latest on the replication layer. So basically what this sounds to me is like they are going to go through and they are probably going to bring it in earlier than the rest of the stuff. But they've put it in the 323 because technically it's there, but I would expect it sooner rather than later. And I imagine they're going to put the replication layer in the 323 build, and then they're going to start adding the stuff to it. Which is why the Evocati probably has not had a lot of features into it at the moment, is because they're probably waiting for the replication layer to tech to go in before they start adding a whole bunch of new stuff. Arena Commander Gravlev Racing. So introducing a new experimental mode to Arena Commander feature Gravlev vehicle racing through 5 new maps, which is the Snake Pit Reverse, Cleo Islands, River's Edge, and Shifting Sands. Personally, as for the Gravlift, I'm not real keen on it. I presume, obviously, there's the racing community, but just racing's not my thing. What do you think, John? Are you down for this whole Gravlift racing, or you think like, yeah?
It's not something I've really been doing, although it's definitely an interesting it's definitely an interesting niche because like God, what's it called? Yeah, the Daymar rally and stuff. And it's like
Yeah.
you don't really see like that, and I see stuff like that, and I I don't know. It's like I said, it's just one of those interesting niches that Star Citizen can find for itself.
Yeah, and look, obviously with
Like,
esports and stuff, it'll be big, I suppose.
oh
But
yeah,
like, and we obviously have just had the Daymar rally on, which is obviously really really cool too. But like at the end of the day, like I don't know, I'm not real keen for it. You know, like we don't even have it in the machinima. Although I could probably write an episode about it, but like it's just something that does just personally for me just really not doesn't float my boat. But let's get into
yeah.
the stuff that really does float our boat. So the big thing and the really really big thing, the thing that we're being praising Lord and Savior Chris Roberts for is the star map rework. Uh, so
Yes.
so implementing the new and improved star map with improved visuals, usability, including easier search and trip planning function. Now, the one thing I noticed that's missing from this description is the ability to save points.
Yeah.
So I'm going to guess that comes at a later date.
I think they've said something about this, and I think they said it's not coming this patch.
Yeah, I would say it's
I
probably like a 324 or 325 thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's my guess too.
yeah. Um, So on a scale of 1 to 10, with like one being zero, like one being not interested, and 10 being like super duper excited, how excited are you for the star map?
11.
11. Yeah, I was gonna say
A
I'm
whole
like
like
I'm like 15 because like every time I try and play the game, I've got frigging to battle this stupid old star map.
yeah. Yeah, no, it makes me want to do a fist fight with the brick wall.
Yeah, it
Uh,
feels like it too sometimes.
fuck. Yeah.
Another big
Pl-
thing
uh,
sorry.
Plus, it just looks cleaner and better. It
Yeah,
like it looks like something you would pull up on the arm like it's projected there, and it looks like something it just looks good.
not only that, but it also look obviously the more of the old flash that they get rid of, the better. Because obviously that will speed up like game like things and stuff. Um,
Yeah,
so obviously like bringing up the star map should be a little bit more fluid. Obviously it should obviously just work instead of
and
what we've got now.
yeah, and the search function. Holy
Yeah,
shit! Do we
yeah,
need that? We need that.
yeah, yeah. Especially when you start like because obviously at the moment I'm going through and I'm building the website for the machinima and I'm putting in like all of the stores and all the places like all the points of interest and stuff, and like holy shit, you do not realize how many they are until you have to put them all into a database.
Yeah. Well, that in like if it's like let's say I want to go to somewhere like Bezdek or something on
Hmm.
one of the Hurston moons, right? It's like just putting into the fucking search function is just gonna make that so much easier to get and all that.
Yeah. Next big thing is obviously the Moby-Glass rework. So this rework for the Moby-Glass system is to use building blocks, which also allows for easy development of Moby-Glass apps. This includes reworking the home map, home maps, contract manager, and journal apps. Now, one thing I'm also noticing that's missing from here is the Wikipedia, the Galactopedia. So I presume that would also be coming at a later date as well. But this is obviously going to make the Moby-Glass a lot more modular. So instead of having to go through and code and adding it all into this one great big code, it's a modular system now. I presume that's what they've done. Um, we know what it's similar to looking like because of obviously Squadron 42. Obviously, it's not the same, but it's similar. It does look really, really good. What are your thoughts? You keen for the Moby-Glass as well, or
Yes.
yeah? I think
Not
we
quite
are.
as much as the star map, but the star map is the primary thing, but like the Moby Glass, like yes.
And also
Yes.
keep in mind too, once they've got this Moby-Glass rework in, then they can go through and they can do things like add new systems or add new modules. And like I say, I presume
Hmm.
it's very modular. From what I've heard from my contact, it's very modular. So they can go through and just add new things to it all the time and don't have to worry about doing massive reworks on it. FPS
Hmm.
map system implementing a mini map for the HUD as well as interior maps for the FPS gameplay, helping players stay orientated in close quarters. Now, there is a little caveat that needs to go on this. It's not going to be every single map. It's only going to be the first edition of these maps. Some of them are not going to be are not going to be available just yet because they do have to go through and create all the maps and stuff like that. Um, but obviously, at the end of the day, this is obviously something that's going to be over the next few patches. Obviously, we're going to be getting more and more maps, which is obviously going to be cool. But also, this is, I presume, in the future, you're going to be able to download those maps as well. So they'll be also bringing that feature in, probably in 3.24 or 25. And that will allow you to go through and download a map and update the map with that area. So really looking forward to this.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah, sounds good.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Oh,
what are your thoughts on the map?
sorry.
How many maps do you think we're going to get at the start? Reckon we'll get most or
Well,
80%, 70%?
I'm sure we're gonna get maps for all the ships, all the landing zones.
Hmm. See,
Um,
I actually think it might be all the landing zones, the space stations and zones, but I would say it's probably going to be the ships that we're going to be missing on.
Really? Well,
Mm.
I'm sure we're gonna see. I mean, we've already seen the Carrack. I'm sure there's.
Yep.
I'm sure most of the ships will be in there. It wouldn't surprise me if they're missing a couple, but you know,
I would
um,
say I would say probably about 60% of the ships are going to be in, and that's about it.
yeah,
You got to remember,
maybe. We'll see.
well, you got to remember, dude. There's like 220. So I can actually tell you how many ships there are because I've been
Well,
on the database.
well,
There is. Sorry, we just.
how many ships are there that actually have an interior, not just the cockpit like it's a fighter?
Well, yeah, that's a good point too. So total vehicles I've got on the database for the machinima is 215 at the moment. Now, some of those
Yeah.
are fighters and stuff like that. Probably remove close to, I don't know, say probably 50 to 100. You're probably looking at about 100 ships. 150 ships.
Fair. I mean, some ships really you really don't need many map for them.
No.
Like the Titan, like if you get lost in that thing, I don't know what to tell you.
You'd be surprised.
um,
I had a girl saying, I had a little friend over at my place the other couple of nights ago, and she didn't know how to make 2 minute noodles.
well,
Let's just
I think they'd have a rough time in general.
let's just say, chat.
But
I wasn't dating her for her brains, right? It's yeah.
uh, all right. I I remember Cobra. He was talking about he doesn't want the bigger ships because he gets lost in them. Well,
Hmm.
maybe this will help him out a bit.
Yeah, maybe. I would say, look, I would say if you're expecting, I would expect some of the places not to have maps. But to be honest, guys, considering we haven't had maps up until now anyway, I don't think it's going to be that much of a difference. The only difference is that when they do have the map, you're going to know where to go.
Yeah, I I
And,
wonder
and
if
they'll-
it'll show you. I
so,
wonder if it'll show you where other players are.
I'm not sure. I don't think so. And what I was going to say was at the end of the day also is that the maps that we don't have, I would just say are probably coming in the next 2 or 3 patches. So I wouldn't fret about it too much. As for the players, I don't think they're going to show the players because like if you get into like PvP combat,
Mhm.
maybe.
Well, let me correct that a little bit. Maybe what if it shows you where your other squad mates are? Like
Teammates,
if you're in a
maybe.
party,
Yeah.
uh, like or like if you're the captain, it's like that would be a very good tool for you to use. Like, hey, there's a fucking fire over here by Bob. Joe, go over there
Hmm.
to help him put the fucking fire out.
Yeah, well, I would
You
say,
know?
yeah, I would say probably teammates will probably definitely show you, but but as for the enemies or people that aren't teammates, probably not. But
Mm.
another big thing that's coming is personal and instance hangars. So creating new tech that creates an instance for the player's hangars and allows for the uninterrupted management of cargo, inventory, vehicles. Personal hangars are found at the player's home location and allowed for customization and organization of the hangar interior. Now, the big question I have here is it says it's found at your home. What happens in space stations? That's my question. Like, I presume they could still just instance it, but like,
I'm not sure I see. I'm not sure, like right now. I don't really see the landing zone hangars and the space stations is really being all that different. Like I almost view them as smaller landing zones
hmm.
in a way.
Well,
So
the reason why I'm asking this is because like for instancing and stuff, right? They can go
Yeah.
through and they can make out that your hangar is underground and blah 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 and lore and stuff like that. But a space station, they're limited on space. Look, I suppose they could always. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe they could do a little bit of hand wavy and just say like, Yeah, no, the space station's got plenty of room for these instance hangars, and I don't know.
I
I'm wondering where they're going to put the instance hangars because like the instance hangars still got to be there somewhere.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from on that. I with the current stations we have in Stanton, I can definitely see the argument for that. But like, if they were like, let's say, like, have you were you in the pyro test? Did you
Yes.
play with that at all?
Yep.
Okay, it. I feel like that argument holds a little bit less water with those space stations, with how big those ones are.
Yeah. Well, the pyro stations are massive.
Yeah, it's like I think we can make an argument as like, hey, shouldn't the Stanton space stations be this big too? Although this is older stuff, which
Yeah. But then people
I
get
don't know,
lost.
but
People get lost in the space stations that we got now. Can you imagine the bigger ones?
yeah.
Poor Cobra would never find his way out of a fucking one.
Well, he's gonna need to download the mini maps then,
Well, that's true.
because
But
it'll show you where to go.
the personal hangars instance. Look, I am very keen for this. Obviously, guys, this is where you can go through. You'll go up to a terminal and you'll say, right, I want 4 boxes of maize. I want 40 guns, PE4s. I want
Yeah,
10 for P8s. I want all this ammo. Blah blah blah, and it'll be like a checkbox, and you'll be able to go through and select what you want. Click collect, and then it will come down onto the elevator out of your supply and will be there, and then you can unload it onto the ship. Um,
hmm
Obviously, this is going to be a massive game changer. Obviously, it's something that we need for the machinima. Um, but yeah, it's obviously it's going to be a massive thing, and when you go and buy things at the shops now, you won't be able to buy it and it goes to your person. You'll go through and you'll buy it and it'll just go straight to your hangar or your personal space, and then you'll be able to retrieve it from the hangar.
yeah. Uh, I'm kind of hoping at some point, if it's like a small order, like let's say it's like a gun or something, like it'll just come across the counter or
Maybe,
something.
yeah, I can
Like
see that.
like like you saw in the Squadron 42
Yeah,
trailer where the guy in the armory hands him the gun. I hope it's some. I hope it eventually turns into something like that. That'd actually be kind of cool.
yeah, yeah.
But
And obviously, this is tying into the next one, which is obviously the freight elevators implemented for
yep,
system connecting from players to physically load to unload cargo from their ship by conveying cargo to and from hangars, landing pads, garages, and docking collars. Oh, docking collars too. That's interesting.
yeah,
So it makes you wonder what's going to happen with the docking collars. Is there going to be like an elevator on the near the end of the collar, where maybe you go and you call and things go. I don't know how that's going to work, but be interesting to see. Um, Item bank and unique item recovery. Now, this is obviously the big thing that a lot of the community's been asking for. Adding items to
yep.
kiosks and persistent universe, allowing players to retrieve and store FPS items in multiple locations. This edition will also allow players to retrieve lost account-bound items such as subscriber flare.
We were just talking about this the other day.
Yep, yep,
This this is something that I've been beating the drum about for a little while now. Is
yeah.
you know,
And the weird thing is, I haven't really heard many people in the community talk about it. Like, considering how much people were banging on about it, like, months ago,
yeah,
I would have thought that people would be like, yeah, we're getting item banking and unique item recovery. But, like, I've not seen Board or Supermac or any of those guys, like, literally talking about this at the moment. So,
yeah.
it's,
I'll be able to get my red Artemix armor back
yeah.
after I get fucking clapped by some asshole who flagged.
Now, I do suspect that it's probably going to cost some money or cost time. So, like, for example,
Okay.
like, I imagine if you lose your armor, I don't know how they're going to stop the exploiting of this, right? So, like, do they go through and make it so that the old armor is now wanted, or are they going to go through? Are they going to make it so that it disappears and then reappears at the base if it goes off your body, or what happens to that old armor that you've, because otherwise you could go suicide, reborn, claim it, get more armor. There's got to be some way of sort of.
Yeah, you have a duplicate. You have like an almost duplication glitch there. Yeah, I see what you're
Mm,
saying. And that definitely that's definitely a question. One that we really don't have the answer to.
mm. They must got
But
something in it to stop it from happening.
yeah, I'm sure that'll come up in ISC at some point because I guarantee you they're going to go over all this in
Yeah,
ISC.
I imagine, like,
So
yeah, like Jared said, this is good stuff for the next 4, 6, 8 weeks of Inside Star
yeah,
Citizen. So new missions, cargo hauling. Make some of the freight elevator features. This mission type will be the players having large quantities of cargo to both earn UEC and reputation. So this is like, for example, like, I think you still got the whole C. I know I've definitely got it, and I think Fez has got it. Like, we pull up to the station with our whole C's, and we turn around and we'd be like, hey, I want to do that cargo mission. And they'll be like, yep, here's 500 boxes of maize. We want you to run it to this station. You don't have to buy the cargo. You're just transporting it for them. And then obviously the income is going to be less, because obviously you're just transporting the goods. There's no risk to you for your cargo.
yeah. Other than loss of reputation,
Yeah, if it gets blown up or stuff like that, or you don't complete the mission, then obviously they're going to be pissed. But
yeah. Honestly, like I like this better because the other downside of of cargo as it exists right now is I can roll up into Bezdek and it's like I can't fill my fucking hold. So
but that's
to
a
me, it's
that's a supply and demand issue, though, right?
yeah, yeah, and then it's like, oh well, even if I do get it all into my ship, I can go to like 3 landing zones and I can't sell it
Mm.
or whatever.
Yeah.
With this, it removes all of that hassle.
Well, also
And it's like,
the dynamic economy will also fix that, and eventually in the future too. So
oh yeah,
yeah.
it
Speaking of
gives us cargo haulers. It gives us cargo haulers more options.
true, yeah, it definitely does that. Hey, speaking of dynamic crosshairs, combat helmets now support the dynamic crosshairs, which allows for quicker target acquisition in close quarter situations. You and I were actually talking about this the other day, and we're probably going to make a video about this. What I was saying was I would like it so that your helmet has like a chip slot where you can go through and you can replace the chip in your helmet that would give you different heads up displays. So, like, you can have a chip that's for like a sniper, which just shows things like wind, like a zoom, maybe, stuff like that. A cargo hauler, for example, will show you stuff like your inventory in the space station, or inventory in your ship, or whatever it may be. Your pilot will show you things like, for example, like any sort of like navigation markers or stuff like that.
Mhm.
But I want to make a video that's talk about that separate. As for this is just crosshairs. I know they've talked about this in the past. I really don't see much of a difference between what we've got now and what this is going to make. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on the dynamic crosshair?
Um, it'll definitely make the point shooting a bit more easy.
Mm.
Because I see people talk about, oh, people aren't gonna bother aiming. Yeah, yes, they will. Because the thing is like the way I look at it is like if you're within 10 meters, it's like in real life, like the thing is if you're used to the weapon that you're using, you won't have to aim down your sights fully if they're within like the
Okay.
10 meters
You're
to be
talking
able to
about
hit.
you're talking about bullet drift and stuff like that.
Not and no, no, I mean like shooting on reflex
Right.
almost.
Okay. Yeah, I presume this is something I'm going to have to see. I don't know exactly what they're talking about here when they were saying making it dynamic and stuff. I imagine when I see it, I'll be like, oh yeah, that's what they meant. But I
Well,
don't. I,
sorry for interrupting, but
no,
I you can see it in the Squadron 42 footage.
you gotta make me bring it up, aren't you?
Yeah, I have.
Hang on a sec. Uh,
Let me
was it I held the
go
line?
to 9 minutes.
9 flat. Yep, got it. Share, starter, copy. That. Right.
Like it, you can see the crosshairs, right?
Yeah, I can see the crosshair. It
Like
it keeps zooming in, so it keeps disappearing.
yeah, but like you can see it better at 9:12.
9:12. All right.
Or even better at 9:20. Like like the crosshairs keep going to where the muzzle is pointed, you know?
Yeah, but doesn't it do that normally anyway?
If it does, I haven't I either don't remember doing that or I
Yeah.
just never noticed.
I,
Because
I
like to
I think it's going to be one of these small things that you might notice, but you might not notice. I don't think it's a real big feature, but you know, we'll see. What are you going to say?
and earlier, you know how I was talking about like um shooting on reflex and stuff?
Yeah.
I have a better analogy. This is almost like shooting with an IR laser under night vision almost.
Right. Um, one of the big things I am keen about is the EVA. So we are getting EVA T2. So improved EVA control animations for smooth traverse in 0G. Later iterations will introduce limited EVA fuel and encourages the use of 0G push-pull and the multi-beam tractor tool. So at the moment, it looks like we are obviously still going to be getting like unlimited fuel, but that will be changing in the future. I imagine when they go through and add fuel tanks to like everybody's suit. Um, I'm keen for the new EVA. I'm
I
looking
am
forward to it.
too.
Yeah, looks good. Alright, FPS loot screens. Introducing a new loot screen for the critical items quickly. This allows for more reliable inventory management tense situations. I believe this is the same scene where like he comes up to the body and it sort of like loots.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find that. Here it is here. So I presume it's that, guys, at 8:45. Where it shows you the weapons that the bad guy has and what you have, and allows you to switch between them very, very easy. I presume that's what that is. Let's keep moving. New character customizer. Obviously, this implements the overhaul for the player character customizer for Star Citizen. Includes new interface and additional customization options. I don't know if saving the characters is going to be in this build or not. I presume it is. You can save your character, export it, import it, stuff like that. And it sounds like it's pretty easy from what I've been told about it. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it's going to make it easy for us with the machinima too, because obviously at the end of the day, we can then just export the character, and then we don't have to worry about the characters changing appearance and keeping continuity and stuff like that. Sorry, what are you gonna say?
Well, so with like games like Mass Effect, right? You have like at the like you have an option to put in a code, and that tells it do this with the
Mm.
character face and the hair and all that.
Yeah, like a hex
Right.
code.
Yeah.
Mm.
It'd be cool if they added something like that into the character customizer.
Yeah, I don't know if a hex code would be allow you to do it, but something like a QR code that maybe you can scan that will save like the number string. But I imagine it's going to be like this massive, like 20 to 40 digit number string. I imagine that's what it's going to be, and you'll find it'll be something like you'll get a number that's something like 20 comma 40 comma 3 comma, all this sort of stuff. And what they
Yeah.
are is they'll be faces that it uses.
Yeah, I'll send it to you what I'm talking about. But
Hmm.
it'd be really cool to have that as an option. And I don't know how feasible it would be for them to do it.
Yeah, it'd be
But
something like that. Yeah. So
yeah.
what he's showing me to chat is that it's a code, and it's, for example, 7q1.d9h.m66.f87. It'll be exactly like that. It'll be a number string. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Visor, lens, visor and lens. Start again. Visor and lens HUD rework. So converting the visors and lens system to building blocks for improvements and flexibility. This is obviously getting back into what we were talking about before with like the chip, putting in the chip into the helmet. That would give you different visors and different HUDs. Distribution centers. So this is a big thing. Creating new traversable areas, offering gameplay opportunities in corporate industrial environments. This initial release includes the surface levels of the facilities, with underground areas coming at a later date. So that's the big thing here, is that you are only going to be getting the above levels for now. The underground facility part will be coming at a later date. I imagine they just haven't got it finished. What are your thoughts on the distribution center? Are you a little bit upset about not getting the bottom as well as the top, or do you?
No. Um, I feel like we need more places to go. Like, because I feel like the planets are awfully empty outside of
Landing zones.
yeah, and this adds a bit more in the way of something like analogous to like a small town or something.
Yeah, I imagine you're
Uh,
probably going to come across a lot of these all over the place.
yeah, and it also gives us like when they add in the new cargo missions and stuff,
Yeah,
it gives us more places to hey, ta drop all these boxes off over at this place
yeah,
on the other side of Hurston or something,
yeah. I would
But
expect like Hurston Dynamics. You'll probably find there'll be like, I don't know, 10 to 15 of those buildings all over the Hurston planet. And then you'll probably
yeah,
find that like over on Clio or Aberdeen or whatever, you'll probably find there'll probably be a few of them around as well. You might even find like over on Microtech, there might be a Hurston building here and there. But I imagine the vast majority of those buildings on those particular planets, Hurston will most likely be a whole bunch of Hurston buildings. Microtech will be a whole bunch of Microtech buildings. And then obviously at the end of the day, you'll just simply have a little bit of a crossover. Some of the Hurston will be in Microtech, some of the Microtech will be in Hurston, but they're also going to go through, and I'm not sure if it's in this patch, but they're also going to make like pirate fractions and stuff as well, from what I've heard.
Yeah, and I wonder if down the road we'll be able to build them.
I imagine so.
Yeah. Um, I mean, there's also we're not. It's not going to be limited to just the corporations we see in Hurston. I'd imagine you're going to see it. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if we eventually ended up seeing like, hey, this one distribution center is a service center for RSI or something.
Oh yeah, yeah. I imagine it's going to be all of the companies. And
Yeah.
also to give you guys an idea as well, guys, just to tell you how many companies there are. There's so far I've got 286 in the database. There
I
is
believe
a
it. And
there's a whole bunch of them that you don't even companies yet we haven't even heard of. I was putting in some of the company names and I was like, what the hell does this company do?
yeah, because I mean, you have all the weapon manufacturers, all the
Yeah.
armor manufacturers, all the industrial companies, mining companies. Like, like you have just what's the clothing company?
Oh, there's,
Kasaba or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Well, they're the
It's
ones
like,
that sell it, but to be honest, they only sell it. There's also places that make
yeah,
them as well.
hmm it's just like, it's like you might see at distribution centers for the people who fucking make those.
Mm.
It's like, and why would they have one? To
Yeah.
why wouldn't they have? Why like somebody's gotta have the sweatshops make this shit.
Oh God. Oh wow.
you know?
So like, there's one company here called Armor Mod, ARMAMOD, right? And it's like
Yeah,
you're like never heard of this company, but what you don't realize is they make the stabilizers for the weapons. So yeah, you'll probably come across this company. You'll probably come across this building, and it'll have all the badges for like this armor mod or whatever it is. And then you'll be able to go in there, and they'll be able to there might be a store where you'll be able to buy like some of the mods for your
yeah,
flashlight and stuff, and buy it directly from them at like a cheaper price.
yeah. And I wonder if we'll see like a centers, we'll see distribution centers that are connected to landing zones almost, to where it's like it's like its own ship store
Hmm.
almost,
Like
instead of it being in the starport.
here's another one here called City Lights, right? And you're like, oh, what the
Mhm.
hell is City Lights? City Lights is a clothing brand that makes timeless, affordable fashion for the families. So that they're a clothing brand. Now, for example, they make the hat, which is the rabbit, RABAT, but they also make jackets, pants, and shirts. So like like you might come along and you'll have like this massive factory or as John likes to call them, sweatshops that have that have like all the badges and the logos and the banners for city lights.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I mean, we already have a sweatshop in the game. That's what Lorville is.
well, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
But let's keep moving. All right,
Yeah.
dynamic events blockade runner, which I believe is the new update for obviously replacing the Xeno threat, I believe. Oh, it's replacing the old blockade runner, I think it is. So introduce a new dynamic event that involves a criminal fraction, Ninetales, locking down a Leo and a Leo L1, L2 rest stop. Players must run the blockade and purchase and sell percentage of quantum before the time runs out. So this is obviously an extension to the old blockade runner, which is obviously just normally Xeno threat, but now they're also adding the new fraction, which is Ninetales, I believe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they had the Ninetales lockdown last year with the Reclaimer and stuff, right? Or
Yes.
was the Reclaimer not part of that?
Oh no, I'm not sure. Reputation hostility, adding new features to the reputation system where the players will encounter AI that are either friendly or hostile based on their reputation with the organization that the AI belong to. This also includes different friendly fire thresholds for and different defense responses. So, like for example, you go into Lawville now, and if you got like an actual criminal rep, then the AI will shoot you because you're a criminal.
Yeah.
You go to an outpost, for example, and say that outpost is a nine tail outpost. You will most likely be shot at. But if you go there and it's, for example, it's overlords, for example, outpost, and you're friendly to the overlords and pyro, obviously, then at the end of the day, then they'll probably trade with you, for example. So depending on your reputation as to how your warmer reception you get, whether it's death by lead poisoning or death by food poisoning because the food's terrible. Player interaction experiences. Implementing the update player interaction experience, holistic array of complementary features and systems, all related directly to the player status, item status, environmental status, as well as interaction with both the game world and objects within it. So this is obviously expanding on the new HUD, so that it will show you like it says, like environmental status and stuff like that. But it also allows you to go through, and this is the picking up of the objects. So like, for example, like F to interact with, like, for example, the items and stuff like that. I would say this is not going to count with the player interaction. For example, you reaching out and hitting a button, I would say that's probably not in this. I would say that's probably a 24 or 25 thing. But at the end of the day, I would say, yeah, this is more likely just the bare bones, which will be press F to interact, the interaction wheel with you being able the ability to change the interactions default and stuff they showed on Star Citizen Live and Inside Star Citizen last week, I think it was. And obviously the last one is master modes. Implementing new modes to vehicles to manage their speed, components, and role-specific function. This release introduces the nav and SCM modes, as well as a complete retuning of all ships. One thing I would say that is not mentioned here is it's not control surfaces. So you still won't have your flaps and stuff like that, but master modes has been on the Arena Commander for a while. I must admit though, I really haven't tried it. Have you? Have you played around with master modes?
No, I haven't.
No. So we've been sleeping on it a bit, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like a lot of people are very divided on this.
Yeah.
I'm not for or against it. I want to see how this plays out.
I think that's the best way, is just see how it goes, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't want to make any judgments before I get to play around with it. Because like as things are right now, like it's, if you've listened to what CIG has said, like with the way the everything flies right now, like the way the dogfights happen and stuff, like it's not what CIG is aiming for.
No.
And they got to figure out some way to get it to go the way they want to have it go.
Alright, so very quickly, obviously if we jump over to the release view, obviously the first one is characters, second one is the distribution centers, which we already talked about. Third one is the visor lens rework, the personal and instance hangers, mobiGlass rework, the FPS screen, the FPS map, the new missions to cargo, the dynamic events, player interaction experiences, EVA, reputation, star map rework, item bank and unique, freight elevators. For ships, we got master modes. For weapons and items, it'll be the dynamic crosshair, and the core tech will be the replication layer. This would have to be the first time they have not put a ship itself in a patch, or released a ship in a patch.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if they're holding back one. I imagine that the 3.23 will probably change and they'll probably add a bit more to it. But it makes you wonder if they're working on a ship and they've been a bit cock and daggery about it.
Well, there's some ships that we haven't heard a damn thing about. That they've said. I'm not saying this ship is going to be in 323,
Mm,
but they've said that they want to have the Liberator for Pyro to move smaller ships around.
mm.
I haven't heard a thing about it.
Well, also keep in mind too. I don't think the
Hold on.
Liberator was in that one.
All right, I'm back. Sorry
Yeah,
about that.
that's right. I was going to say I don't think the Liberator was actually in that ships coming up in the next 12 months list.
No, it wasn't, which
Uh,
is weird because, like, yeah. But there's also ships that we haven't heard about. That there was like the outlines or like the silhouettes for, like that.
mm,
What looked like a Mirai heavy fighter to me.
mm.
I wonder if we'll see the Zeus.
I would say you're probably more likely to going to get something that's like a small to medium sized fighter or ship. I would say you're probably going to get one of those in this patch. So I would look for something like maybe the Zeus, maybe. But like for example, yeah, I would say something like that or smaller. I would say. So I know they're working on the Zeus, but yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because like normally the it's like starter ships, you know.
yeah. Well, like the last time it was the X1 and the Santakiai. The one before that was the C1, C1, A1, Novatank. Like I say, like it's a lot of small ships and then maybe one or two big ships. I would say, look,
Yeah.
you're probably gonna get. I would say probably maybe the Zeuses, and then maybe like a buggy or a. I know that they've shown the buggies and stuff for moving cargo around. So they might be in the game, but they might not be on the list here because you don't buy them technically, maybe.
Hmm.
But so, out of all the things that are listed, what are you most excited for? What's your top two?
Um, top two. It's probably for me. It's probably just all the UI improvements,
Hmm.
the UI improvements, and the distribution centers.
Yeah, I would say I'm definitely looking forward to like the UI, so like all the maps and stuff. And then probably like the freight elevators and stuff,
Yeah.
or maybe the EVA. But look,
Well,
it's a really good patch to be honest. It's hard to say.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. It for me, it's a tie between the distribution centers and the freight elevators because we really need the freight elevators for a while now. Because
True.
like that makes the ground vehicles a lot more useful,
Hmm.
or a
And
lot more usable in my opinion. Just because you don't have to go out of your way to get them now.
yeah, and also loading them and unloading them and stuff like that. Yeah, and also like even loading your ships with like boxes and cargo and stuff.
Yeah, and I half wonder if with the missions that are coming with the distribution centers and stuff, if we will actually have a use for the ground vehicles. Like we got to park the ship off somewhere and then take the ground vehicle and the rest away.
Maybe, maybe. All right, guys. Let us know what your thoughts are in that comment section below. What are you most looking forward to in this patch? Like I say, it's a really good patch. It's hard. As to when to see it, it's saying tentative is Q2 of 2024. I would say this is probably going to be like a January, February, March. I'd say early April patch, late March, early
Yeah,
April.
yeah.
Yeah. But I'm really looking forward to it. All right. Apart from that, guys, let us know what your thoughts are in that comment section below. Apart from that, anything else you want to add, John, before we wrap up?
Not that I can think of.
No worries, guys. Enjoy yourself. Let us know your thoughts in that comment. What are you looking forward to the most? And look, it's definitely looking like 2024 is going to be the year of Star Citizen. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a good night. Enjoy. Thanks, John. And obviously, I'll put John's. Do you have like a YouTube channel still, or you still haven't made it yet?
No, not yet.
No. I'll yeah. Have a great night. Enjoy yourself, guys. We'll see you in the next video.